Hey guys, let's have a look at my Swiss K31 rifle. This is a straight pull bolt action rifle chambered for the 7.5 by 55 Swiss cartridge. In Swiss service this is known as the GP11 round, and ballistically it has power approximately that of a .308 Winchester, although the cartridge case is a little bit larger. We'll start off down by the butt here. These have a steel butt plate. Quite often a tag will be found underneath these butt plates with the soldier's name and so forth on it. This one didn't have that, but that is a common thing to find on these rifles when they're surplus. You can see there's a little Swiss cross and shield there on the stock. The stock is made of beech, I believe, and it has a bit of a pistol grip. And typically for these Swiss rifles the stocks are in rather beat up condition because they saw a lot of use as reserve exercise type weapons. Of course the Swiss have no standing professional army, they have a citizen soldier army who train on a regular basis, so these rifles would have been used considerably in training exercises. Now, interesting thing about this particular rifle is that it was the Swiss solution to the question of whether to have a long rifle or a carbine or a compromise type firearm, which is what the British arrived at with the short magazine Lee Enfield rifle, which is basically partway between a long rifle and a carbine. So the Swiss looked at that question in the 1920s and early 30s, and this was the solution to that particular question. And these rifles are often erroneously referred to by people as Schmidt-Rubens, but in fact they are not. They are a different system. They are a front-locking bolt, although they do bear some resemblance with the large cocking handle and cocking piece, I should say bolt handle and cocking piece. They are a different design of bolt. Believe it was developed by one of the Swiss arsenals. Alright, let's have a look at the left hand side of the rifle. Starting up front, you can see that we have a well guarded front sight, big blocky ears on that to protect the front sight. Down below that we've got this stacking swivel. Got a bayonet bar or bayonet boss on the forward band. We got beechwood stocks and handguards. The sling swivel's mounted on the left hand side here of the rear band, and we've got the original style leather sling, which this rifle came equipped with. Got some finger grooves in the stock, and you can see the stock has a top tang, and it also has a bottom tang. And we've got a bit of a pistol grip type stock. And moving back, we've got a kind of a German style inletted sling bar on the left hand side, and you've got this metal clip to accommodate the sling being clipped on or off. Let's have a look at the front sight. As you can see, the front sight is protected by two rather substantial guards milled into the front sight block, and the front sight itself is inset into a diagonally milled dovetail. And that's kind of interesting because rather than drifting the sight left to right to compensate for windage, you actually drift it forward or backwards, which will accomplish the same thing. And it gives you a nice square type sight picture. Let's go back and have a look at the rear sight. And the rear sight is graduated from 100 meters up to 1500 meters in 100 meter increments. And we've got a notch type rear sight. I'll raise that up a little bit to see the notch a little better. Fairly substantial notch. Lets lots of light in on each side, but it's still fairly precise. The rear sight, the rear of the sight face is machined at an angle to help prevent glare. And the sight has a standard type slider to elevate or depress the sight. And we've got the nice Swiss crest on the back, and we've got a serial number there on the top of the bolt, which of course corresponds with the serial number on the receiver. And you'll know the bolt is in full closed battery because that serial number will be standing straight up. And moving to the back, we've got our cocking piece with a very distinctive finger ring loop on it, and that is also part of the safety mechanism. And turning the rifle over a little more, the bolt handle has an aluminum insert into the operating mechanism. So that's a bit of a change from the previous Schmidt-Rubens, which had I believe they had a Bakelite or some sort of synthetic material for that. So that would be quite robust, wouldn't have to worry about that breaking. The safety catch on the K31 is somewhat unique. With the rifle cocked, the safety catch may be applied by pulling the cocking ring out and turning it clockwise. And in this position, the rifle cannot fire. It is not cocked, and in fact it also locks the bolt. So to remove it from safety, pull back, turn counterclockwise, ease ahead, and in this position the rifle may be fired. Removing the bolt on the K31 is a very straightforward process. There's a large catch located on the right hand side with this serrated surface for your thumb to operate. If you look closely at the catch at the rear, you can see that it gets out of the way of the bolt. So it's pretty straightforward matter to pull that down, pull the bolt to the rear, easily dismountable. Very nicely made bolt, high quality machining all the way around as one would expect from the Swiss. To reinstall the bolt, simply line up the grooves, push down the catch, push the bolt ahead, you're good to go. The Swiss K31 uses a detachable box magazine, somewhat unusual because the magazine catch is actually incorporated as part of the magazine. There are a few other rifles which use a similar system. For instance, the French Moss 1944-49 series of rifles also use a magazine catch attached to the magazine. This is a 6-shot magazine, and it's chambered for the 7.5 by 55 Swiss service round, which is known in Swiss service as the GP11. This round is somewhat different than the older Swiss loading. The cartridges are similar, but they are loaded to different pressure levels, and there are some small dimensional differences between the rounds. Alright, I've got some reloads to try in the K31, and these are Norma brass with a Federal 210 large rifle primer. These have a 168 grain Sierra Match King bullet in them. They have to be seated quite deep because of the chamber configuration of this rifle. The original Swiss projectile is very streamlined, and because of that the projectile has to be seated quite deeply into the case. These have an overall length of only about 2.90 inches. So fairly good charge of Ogden 4831, and interestingly enough, this charge of powder is the original World War II vintage Ogden surplus powder. So I got an old can of it that I was given, and this powder is actually made in World War II, so we'll see how well it does. It appears to be in excellent condition, so I don't think we'll have any problems. I'll load her up and give her a try. Alright, those seem to be a pretty good thump to them for 67-year-old powder. Get out and have a look and see what the target's like. Okay, there's the first 4-shot group with the 168 grain Sierra Match Kings. It's about 2 inches or so. And I moved over to a smaller target, a little easier to be precise with that. And we've got 4 shots there, which is, those are about 1 1/8 inches, I would say, for the 4 shots. So not too bad. Shooting 4-shot groups today because I only have 16 rounds of ammo, so go back and try one more, patch this target up. Well, there's the last 4-shot group with the K31. A little bigger than the last one. Dropped one down below there. I would say that's my fault. One of them got away from me a little before I would have liked to have had it go. So anyway, not bad altogether. Have to mention a thing or two about the trigger pull on this rifle. It has a standard type 2-stage military trigger. However, it's got to be the smoothest I've ever come across. You can see the first stage here, you can see it takes up quite a bit. There's a lot of travel to it, but it's very smooth at a moderate weight. But once you've taken that first stage up, the remaining pull is very crisp, and there's no creep on it at all. But the only thing you could say about it is there's a little bit of over travel, but it's by far the best military rifle trigger pull that I've ever seen outside of a match rifle. So Terrific trigger, lovely to shoot.